Welcome to the Winners and Losers Show. Hello, everybody. My name is Hank Thompson. I'm the host of the show. I'm going to be the host of the show until all the ballots are safely tucked away for safekeeping in the back of a truck with a trunk that has lead weights in it that's going to be tossed at the bottom of a Kansas river. Welcome to the show, guys. It's election eve. Election eve. The midterms, the greatest election in our lifetime. Not an understatement, I would say. I mean, they're all, from now on, I think they're all going to be the greatest because it's like our buses, we're off the cliff. We're all in the same bus. We're off the cliff, and there's like a few people on the bus that know how to make buses fly. A few people that could land the bus with a crash, but get us through it okay, probably, couple of dings and bumps, and then there's just a lot of fucking idiots on the bus who want to murder women for not fucking. Like what the? There's all sorts of psychopaths in our country, and they're the ones in charge. It's not just the murdering women. I'm referring to the shooting at the yoga studio. That guy was an incel, involuntary celibate. I like to call them perma virgins. That's my line. I don't know what the, but anyway, wasn't even planning on talking about that story in this episode. So yeah, so we need to, from now on, though, we just can't let the people who are deliberately trying to accelerate the bus into the bottom of the ravine run the place while causing fascism everywhere. That's just overly stupid and simplistic, but like oppressing minorities and people of color and removing rights. Jesus, that's the phrase. I mean, anybody that is taking rights away from people is wrong, and I'm not talking about the right to be, you take a gun away, that's removing a right. No, we're adding rights. If we do ever get to take away guns, we'll be adding rights to those who get murdered by guns. The 35,000 people, 2/3 of which are suicides, but it's just as much tragedy. I hate it when people leave out suicides and they act like that's not something. Those are also preventable deaths. So they're the whole thing. So we don't want our bus drivers removing rights, I guess is what I'm saying here. So, all right. Great start to the show. Just ridiculous analogy that, actually, yeah, it's bad. They're all bad. So here we go. Busy day for me. My new job is keeping me busy. And, it's ironically weird that, I don't know why I'm being cagey about where I just feel strange saying, isn't that weird to be? I'm working at the Young Turks again. I'm doing editing. I'm not a full-timer, working full-time hours, but it's freelance and it could become full. It's something. It's great compared to not having a job. I've been through this a lot these last few years, and especially the last couple of months with that one job that got yanked away from me. But man, it's nice to go to the grocery store and see a piece of cheese or a wrapper in a wrapper and go, I could buy that cheese if I wanted to buy that fucking cheese. And you don't get to do that when you're not working. And so anyway, that's not the only benefit is that I could finally buy cheese I don't want anyway. But just the stress reduction and just having a job. It's close to where I live. There's a lot of upsides. And so I'm actually quite happy with where we're at. But I'm still figuring out how to do this podcast in this new context. In a lot of ways, I might, being back at the Young Turks will probably help this podcast. There's some people there who I'd love to have as guests, and I was hoping to anyway. I didn't expect this to happen, meaning my role there, my returning there. But now that I'm there all the time, sneaking coffee, and I'm scurrying around like a squirrel who's like slightly traumatized. Like, am I allowed to have 2 cups? Hey, they had these free beef sticks, and I fucking stole one. It's funny. It's like if you put it in your belly, not stealing. Put it in your pocket, stealing. That's also not true. They don't care. They don't give a fuck if I grab an 11-incher for the road. They don't care. Thin. Don't get all excited, okay? Yeah. So anyway, lots to say about that. Let me see. Let me pull up my little list here of stuff. So anyway, I'm busy as shit, and I'm at the Young Turks, which is a large progressive outfit. They, substantial footprint in the online media community, and being there all the time, I know way less about what's going on in the world now. They're filming their show 30, 40, 50 feet from where I sit, but I have no idea what the fuck's going on in the world anymore. That's, I mean, kind of not really. It's just compared to before, where I could watch news and watch multiple podcasts. The availability for me to just turn on a podcast, listen to it, or read articles and watch news and track shit on Twitter is way down now, and that's okay. It's part of an adjustment phase too. I'm gonna figure out ways to bring it back up as well, and but it's good. I'm hoping this has some staying. What is it called? Staying power? Staying glue? What do they say? Staying? What the fuck is the word for that? Staying potential? I don't know. But I hope it lasts for a while, because I definitely need to just get into a routine. And I'm doing editing now, which is like right up my, I'd say wheelhouse, but that makes it sound complicated. Like, it's easy editing. There'll be challenging stuff ahead, I hope. Maybe I can do some more creative stuff, but I'm doing kind of routine things, and it's great. I feel very capable, and it's a nice fit. So first weeks of all jobs are a little weird. This one, I know half the people that are still there that when I was there, and it's kind of going back to some place. So it's not the same as it's a new job, but they got a lot of new processes and stuff, and so I'm kind of just tripping over some of those little things, like that's the one thing. I'm working on a Mac. I'm a PC. I don't see Justin Long and think that's me. I'm a John Oliver. Wait, no, who's the fuck is a guy? John Hodgman guy. I'm a John Hodgman. I shouldn't even be saying I'm a PC. I should be saying I'm a John Hodgman. Okay. I'm not capable of speaking slowly like he is, and therefore seeming more intelligent than. No, he's actually just a really smart, thoughtful, interesting guy. But they picked him to be the PC because he's not as fuckable as the Justin Long kid with his Scott Baio haircut. Well, I'm the PC. I'm just John Hodgman here. And I go to the Young Turks, where I have to pretend to be Justin Long. And it's fucking, I did it before when I was there for a couple years a few years back. So I'll be fine. But, man, I wish I could. I'm not trying to complain. I'm just trying to be funny about how I have to, like, switch my hotkeys, because I come home and I do editing and stuff, and I have my own projects and shit, and sometimes you copy paste things at home just for fun. And now I'm going for the command button, and it's not in the right spot. It's like, could we have? I mean, couldn't we just have gone with the same fucking hotkeys or key? I know I can switch the Mac up to be all like PC hotkeys. And at this point, I've already got over about 6 days of Mac use under my belt, and so I'm sticking with it. I'm just going to be a dual batter here with the Mac and the PC. It's a good skill to have. It's also an easy skill to forget as soon as it all ends. And although maybe I'll switch to whatever. Point is, somebody fuck John Hodgman. All right, look at the guy. He's growing a mustache. It's getting out of control. All right, so this isn't good. So, that's all to say. Where am I going with this? Is to say that this isn't going to be a very well-researched episode, unlike the previous ones. They weren't. I mean, but compared to those, not a lot here. I have a note here. I'm looking at my Evernote. I just typed it up. I just got home. It's like 8:25. I haven't really, taken a break at all. I didn't do any breaking at all today. Didn't eat lunch. Haven't eaten dinner yet. Looking forward to finishing this and microwaving some beef. But I typed up my little note here to kind of, remind me of stuff to say. And I have Castlevania is great. So that's the level of analysis you're getting here on Election Eve. You guys got your shoes out already? Your voting shoes? Your protesting shoes? Gonna need them. Could be fucked up, man. Could be wacky. Oh, yeah, I was going to talk about how I got a weird headache last weekend. But that, who cares? So I'm just glad it went away, because this has been a pretty intense couple days here. No, headaches are the worst. All right. Election Eve. What's going to happen tomorrow? I'm not going to get this up. I'm not really going to talk about the election much. Obviously, it's impossible not to. It's the biggest thing. I can say it's been horrifying. Being a American citizen who pays attention to the government and to politics is hard. It's stressful, and it's necessary right now. I feel like not that I'm not trying to shame anybody who isn't paying attention, especially after a week of like, oh, I know how easy it is to not pay attention when you work 8 to 10 hours a day. You're tired. You just want to come home and take off that fucking belt. And that's about the best part about coming home. You want to do something. Want to play a video game, watch a movie, hit a Netflix, watch some Castlevania, maybe play some Red Dead Redemption. I got some to talk about. We're going to talk about Red Dead Redemption. That's also on the list. Number 2. Okay. Wow. What a gang. So that'll probably come up later on in the episode. But just kind of continuing with what I was saying, just getting through this election season. If it wasn't obvious before that the Republicans are a party of lying racists. In the last episode, I said that they're embracing fascism, they're embracing their racism. That's what they're running on. It's not the only thing they're running on. They're also running on being liberals. They're pretending, and this happens every year, the political messaging, especially right up before the election, but the whole time, it all seems it's all about populism and helping you out, and we're going to do the best for you, and we're going to. But what we're seeing this turn, and Republicans always run much more liberally than they govern. And they lie. They explain that their tax cuts are for regular families. Americans got their tax cuts. No, the billionaires got their tax cuts. 83% went to the top 1%. It wasn't for the regular people. An extra $30 a paycheck, if that. The numbers are tiny. Obviously, it's not the same for everybody. When you cite like tax saving statistics, it's for one person who ran through some specific example algorithm or whatever. But the big lie we're seeing this season is lying about Medicaid and protecting pre-existing conditions, saying they were for Medicaid expansion and they're for protecting pre-existing conditions. They use language that's real dodgy, like I'm working on pre-existing conditions, or we're going to do what's right for people who have pre-existing conditions. And I'm not quoting anything directly, but like they never. So, if you're inclined to be on the Republican side, on the conservative side, and you hear that language, and maybe you're dealing with medical issues and stuff, good luck trusting them. You should, hopefully this is the time you learn you're being conned, because they're all aggressively, and they tried. So they had that party. Remember when I believe the House passed the ACA repeal in 2017. It was summer, I think. I want to say June, could be wrong there, but they had a huge press conference. It only got past the House. It didn't get past the Senate, because that's the vote McCain with the famous thumbs down moment. I have a lot to say about that too, but that's a whole different topic. But they made this big deal. All these laughing, smiling jokers. It looked like a cliche scene where the villains all gather for their high school reunion, and they're all standing around, giving each other hand jobs and pats on the backs and cigars, and it's like just chuckling away, because this was a big victory. It was a pretty public thing, and they finally got get through the Senate or the House, and there was a lot of protests, and they had to arrest a lot of people in wheelchairs to get those people out of the way so that they could take away their health care and impose death on tens of thousands of Americans every year. If you remove something, I don't know the exact numbers, and it's obviously sort of a rough range of a guess, but if you take 25 to 30 million people off the rolls, I remember seeing numbers somewhere between 20 to 30,000 people will probably die. They won't be able to afford medication that keeps them alive, or services and medication that keeps them alive. And for every one of those deaths, how many people are there who just have to live a far greater diminished life because of this policy change? It's so weird that we're okay when policies kill and hurt millions, kill tens of thousands, hurt millions. A terrorist attack that hurt millions, killed tens of thousands, we would have words. We would be upset. That would be worth some extra upset pills. I don't know. I was thinking about anxiety for some reason. But we kill people with policies, and that are usually the opposite of what you promised during the election, which is how you got in power to begin with, or partially, largely from cheating as well. That's fine. Except we know you're going to do it. We see it. And it's terrifying. How is it not? I hesitate to say it's terrorism, but it's legalized terrorism. It's not the right word. It's not but it's terrifying when your government knowingly does things that it knows will end up killing tens and tens of thousands of people. Now, there's a certain allowance for death in policy making. You can't have a traffic system without death. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. We're working on it. Eventually, we'll have those cars from Judge Dredd that fill up with foam, and those are pretty fun. I always wanted one of those. No, I mean, people die on the roads. People get hit by cars. It's a thing. So you have to accept a certain level. I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not like weirdly saying nobody should ever die, and that, I mean, that's why this is the power of politics and the power of society and governing and how we organize, and because it determines who thrives and who has their interests protected and who doesn't. It should be everybody, not just the few. You know. I don't know. I mean, it is kind of nice knowing billionaires can buy multiple islands for fun. You know, yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'd much rather Jeff Bezos had a sixth yacht than millions of people were able to have health care and raise their children in a safe environment. Yeah, he deserves it. I bet Betsy DeVos, our education secretary, fucking corrupt. She has 10 yachts. 10. I mean, I get it. You can't get a Pacific Ocean yacht all the way over to the Atlantic Ocean. Kind of poor person would she be if that was the case? She had to drive her yacht down through the Panama Canal or the Arctic Circle Canal. That one took a lot longer to dig. It's much colder down there. Ice mosquitoes. What if the budget for Game of Thrones was so cheap they just had to do ice mosquitoes? As if okay. So anyway, where the hell was I going with it? I've really lost track. All right, so here's the deal. I got some original music I'm going to play real fast. One of these is that will be the soundtrack of our future if the Trumps win and the Democrats don't take the House, which will be, everybody will be really shocked if that happens. I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously hoping Democrats take the House and the Senate and as many state houses and governorships as possible. Of course, but I'd be happy if we got the House. At least then we could open up some investigations and at least grind this fucking thing to a halt. As much as the weenies who run the Democratic Party are able to, and that's, the more progressives we get in there, the bigger progressive caucus we can establish and start to push even further on those paths. Because ultimately we need large-scale reforms centered around what workers deserve, not what workers are willing to tolerate. So, and that saying this too, like the solution is democratic socialism, a version of that is grounded in science and community and accountability and transparency. And I was just saying, like, is it really, like, socialism is a word that's very loaded. Although I just was listening to a radio show, and over 50 people have much different attitudes than people under 50 regarding that term. It's problem solving. Like, this is problem solving, and I guess the part of the it's a little too simplistic here, this construct I'm working on here, but part of it is like, well, I guess these are problems but you have to have shared goals. Those, goals are another word for problems in terms of politics and policy and society. So the other side, the right wingers, their goals are to serve the billionaires and the millionaires and the people with the money and the power, and to maintain that and concentrate it. They're concentrating wealth. They're also concentrating power by removing rights from people, which is a removal of their power. Forces them. It's like kicking someone down the mountain when you're already at the top of the mountain. Now they're still going to be on the mountain, but they have to reclimb that ground that they worked so hard to cover to make it up, and it's not fair to them. and it's a distraction to the rest of us, those of us who care and want to help. It's such a rewind. Hopefully, the pushback and the bounce back will be such that we can make up lost ground. But we're losing a lot of ground, and we're losing a lot of time environmentally with this, because we're already way in stoppage time here. That's a sports term, everybody. All right, okay. I know I'm not a big sports head, but I do play. I play a lot. They called me Hammer and Hank on my softball team because I had surprising power. I didn't look like I knew how to swing a bat, but I knew how to fucking swing that bat, man. I had some towering home runs. All right. Well, I sound like Al Bundy. And now I sound really old for referencing Al Bundy, assuming you know who that is. Want to hear my Al Bundy impression? Well, I would, but I can't reach my toilet. I can't flush it. So anyway, kind of rambly here. I know that. I just, it's that's how it is. So some things I'm looking out for the election. By the time you're listening to this, maybe tomorrow during it, but more than likely way after or after, and you already have known. So, fact check away, see if my intuitions, or I'm not even really predicting anything here, but stuff I'm paying attention to are California. There's the Prop 10 and Prop B. I almost said Plan B. That's always a good thing too, by the way. Keep a dispenser next to your bedside table. Those are the propositions to add a local bank for Los Angeles. That would be wonderful. I think that's a great idea to have a community bank run by local government for the city and for residents, and for, I'm not sure if it's limited to people, probably state residents. And that'll go a long way to helping people who can't access banking services do so, and keep the more money we can keep out of the coffers of the Wells Fargo's and the Banks of America's and the the whatever else, the Fifth Thirds, and I'm not sure why I thought through that one. And we're better. We're better off on local scales. And then the other one is for rent control and stuff in California. So hopefully those pass. There's an oil thing in Colorado for an anti-fracking law, where I think I don't know a lot of details about this one. In fact, I really don't know much at all. But I believe it has to do with polluting children and whether or not parents are allowed to sue, or if they're allowed to protect their kids from the poisons that are injected into the groundwaters and from the pollution from fracking, which is enormous in Colorado. It's enormous all over the country and all over the place. And out west, there's just a lot of it going on. The Georgia race, both the Florida and Georgia governorships are hugely important. I don't know why I feel compelled to rank them. I'm not going to, but Gillum, I like that guy. I hadn't heard of him before, but he's grown on me. Not that I had much of a down issue on him, but you got to earn it from me before I just start liking you. And I've seen him in some things, and not just his. He's the guy who famously said at a debate, as a mic drop moment, he said to is it Ron DeSantis, his super racist opponent? No, that's shit. Oh yeah, DeSantis is his Florida. Kemp is Stacey Abrams' opponent in Georgia. We're going to talk about that in a second. Gillum said this to DeSantis. I don't have the audio, but he said, "I'm not saying you're a racist. I'm saying the racists think you're a racist," which is a great line. It got a lot of play. It went really viral, I guess you'd say. In this world, viral can be like a long viral thing. It can be a good 9 hours. But it was very quotable, very and also applicable as a format to other things. Like, I'm not saying you're... I'm not saying you're an albino, but the albinos say you're. No, see, that doesn't. Okay, but no, I've seen it kind of the construct similarly referenced in some things. I can't think of them right now, but great line. Except, why not just say he's a racist? That's what you're saying. Like, it's funny to me that we give a whole bunch of credit. I mean, the guy has a great line, and I'm not trying to take away the credit. I'm just saying it's weird how our assessment is like partially based on the flourish. Like, we need it to have had some flower to it. So a little, like Flower. I don't know why Flour would add to anything, but it needed that. Like, and so if he had just said he was a racist, it wouldn't have scored as many points because it would have given the guy who was called a racist the chance to say, how dare you, the whole taking umbrage at being called what's obvious, which is one of the weirder things going on these days. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, they generically the right wing, who are using racist messaging primarily for their political campaigns, but they still bristle at the notion of being called racist. But yet their whole thing is that. Their whole thing is othering people. Their whole thing is creating fear, is ginning up xenophobia. They're sending the military to wait at the border for what might be a couple thousand people showing up tired and hungry with nothing, hoping, throwing themselves on our mercy, and almost certainly knowing. I mean, I doubt the migrant people in the caravan have as much podcast access as me or you or the vast majority of the planet, so they're probably not completely up to speed about stuff, but there's information. I mean, information travels very quickly. Phones are accessible by poor people, and guaranteed that they know that they're not heading towards a friendly America. In fact, they're heading towards one that's quite hostile, which was also true under Obama, but much less so. There wasn't the same risk that their children would be stolen from them and given away as for adoption. It's a whole different kind. I'm not saying that Obama was great on that topic, but Trump is way worse. He's escalating it, and that's disgusting. Just this whole military thing. It happened. Bush did it to the tune of many hundreds of millions of dollars. I might even probably billions. Gee, that's great. Probably billion. I don't know the number. I've seen. I saw one number say 160 million, which seemed really low, and then I heard another person in an interview talking about it say it costs billions, and that seemed high. But then again, billions for I think it was 6,000 troops. Isn't that? I mean, shit's expensive, man. Moving troops and equipment and supplies and all that. And we're not supposed to deploy the military inside our borders. That's a big deal because it sets up fascism. I mean, that's partly it. It's like when politicians solve domestic, and this is not even a problem, by the way. This is not a problem at all. We don't need the military there. We have border officers who will say, are you applying for asylum? And they'll say, yes, I'd like some water. We should give them water and snacks and meals and let them in and fucking help them reach their dreams and become productive taxpayers in America. Don't worry. Their kids will all die of diabetes just like us, okay? You fucking MAGA idiots. Don't you understand that? That's the whole point. Everybody will die of diabetes once everybody is let into the country so we can make the whole world fat, lazy, and stupid like us. Don't you see? That's the master... No, it's not the master plan, obviously, but, maybe they'll die of old age with their beautiful racially mixed grandchildren with their permatans, which I'm not saying that negatively. I'm saying I'm jealous whenever I see someone mixed. Actually, anybody who's not white, I'm just like, oh, man. Must be nice. Always tan. Okay. All right. What the fuck was... Oh, so the military is already being deployed to our border. And what they're doing is setting up for campaign photography, for campaign imagery and videos. That's how I see it, because what a powerful weapon, rhetorical weapon for the Trumps and the right wingers to use in the next 2 years, which are going to be god awful horrible. As the presidential campaign starts to starts to wind up, is that they're going to any suggestion of removing the troops will be immediately pounced upon, and it's going to be this big propaganda thing. See, because a lot of the ways they score points, it's not just what they do; it's also what they can then accuse the other side of wanting to do. Oh, Democrats want to take away money out of your pocket. No, we want to force your boss to pay you more, and we want to force your boss and the billionaires who are your boss's bosses' bosses to pay a little bit more. So maybe they only have to get by with half an island. Maybe they have to timeshare a recreational submarine instead of fucking owning several of them. That's what we want to force, so that you can have breathable air and a world where your children are safe and don't have to go to school wearing bulletproof backpacks. And all the other important issues. Vote for me. Where was I? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, the military thing. Obama did it too as well. To a lesser degree than Bush, but he also sent troops to the border, which I only want troops at the border if there's another country's troops at the border on their side. Even then, I mean, obviously you have to now it's just turning into a game of Risk here. But those land invasion wars aren't very much a thing, except for Crimea, which Putin did, and the United States now, our foreign policy posture towards Russia is Russia what? Russia ally says what? So we're like, okay, we're not going to stop you. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more, which will be bad. There's also a threat of land wars in Korea. If that ever escalates to the point with a demilitarized zone and all the troops on both sides ready to go at it, that'll be a horrible war, though. There's a lot of shit ready to blow up real close to that line, so let's hope that never happens. But let's see, where was I headed with all this shit? So the troops at the border are going to be campaign props. So congratulations, American citizens. You're buying the 2020 campaign for the Republican Party because they're going to run on racism. They're going to run on defending, quote unquote, America from mothers and fathers who are desperate to get away from violence and crime-ridden societies in hopes of something better. And they are coming here to get that because that's been something we've offered for many, many decades. Although not delivering it to everybody, that's domestically America's also shitty to its own people. So, but you are fortunate to be born here, in some ways. I wish it was true that you were equally fortunate no matter where you were born. I mean, I guess that would be kind of the utopia goal down, many centuries from now, and doesn't matter where you're born, but you'll still end up with a life of dignity and community and satisfaction. But that's, what am I, some kind of fucking idiot that thinks that's possible? No, of course not. So we have that to look forward to. But anyway, Gillum, that's what I was saying. Great line, but I don't know why I'm repeating it, but just say he's a racist. Call him a racist. He's a fucking racist. Those are the words. Instead, we have to approach it from, a little English on that cue ball. The billiards. You get it. I was making hand motions there to help sell the thing, but I didn't realize I'm not on video. So, and then just north in Georgia is a very closely scrutinized election where another one of, and I've mentioned this previously, the Secretary of State, Brian Kemp, is the candidate for governor. And as his Secretary of State duties, among his Secretary of State duties, is administering the elections. And he is administering his victory. He is suppressing votes all over the place, purging voters from the rolls. And there's been challenges in the courts. I think most have actually shaken out in Stacey Abrams' favor. But like even me saying it that way, it makes it seem like she is gaining something that she doesn't, that like is sort of an advantage over him. It's not. It's democracy. Everybody should be out there voting. I mean, everybody should have the right and the access and the ease to vote. It's a thing. It's like that's where we're at in this country. Where when there's, it's simple math. More people vote is better for Democrats. Less people voting is better for Republicans. Very easy, and they're very aggressively out trying to stop people from voting, taking their voting rights away with voter ID bullshit, with purging people from the rolls, with simply not processing registration paperwork, and all sorts of other ways, like gerrymandering and street address laws, which is what they're demanding of people, of Indian folks in North Dakota as a means to prevent them from voting. A lot of them don't have specific street addresses, so they're forced to go get these IDs, which they can't get, and limiting ballot access. Just I don't know, Louisiana. So there's some town, and there's versions of this happening everywhere where they don't have a polling station in their town. It's a largely minority community, and so they've decided to hold their election a mile out of town, or like a mile away from a bus stop, 10 minutes out of town. Like, it's crazy. So it's a town of 13,000 people. I don't have the exact name for that one, but there's all kinds of examples of this, and so in order for Democrats to win, they have to turn out. They have to overcome the cheating, and it sucks. Fucking horrible. If we had an even playing field and everybody who wanted to vote could go vote, and it wasn't another way people are kept out of their rights is that we vote on Tuesdays, which I've gotten into before, and I'm definitely going to get into that again. I want to actually make some videos about it. It's probably a good starting topic for me to start making some explainer videos and stuff. Is the elections on Tuesday, so therefore your boss is in charge of your rights. A lot of people don't get to express their rights because their bosses doesn't want to pay them for 3 hours to go vote. First of all, it shouldn't take 3 hours. That seems to be about the time you generally need. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that bad. But if your boss is not cool with you voting, you don't get to vote. Or at least you have to risk being fired by leaving when you shouldn't. Or you have to do it in the early morning or early evenings, and that's not feasible for everybody. Not everybody's lives can accommodate that. So there's Tuesday voting, aside from how insane it is because it's built around mid-19th century agrarian logistics problems, agrarian economy logistics problems. It also it gives your boss power over your most sacred right as a person in a you know what I'm saying, democracy. There you go. That's the word. That's the tough one to come up with. So all these things are going on tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. The Abrams thing, she's got to win by a huge amount, so Democrats have to turn out, and hopefully she wins. It'll be a real fucking disappointment if that Kemp is able to just cheat his way through. And then what? We scream and yell, hey, we get some lawyers involved or something. I'm not sure what you do, and it's obvious suppression and cheating. And isn't voter suppression, how are Democrats so bad at, first of all, protecting the right to vote? Like, something I'd like to see, and I think it's utter political malpractice if it's not one of the top 3 priorities for Democrats. It should be the number 1, is expansion of voting rights nationally, fixing election flaws all over the place, getting rid of electronic machines, or at least requiring paper trails for every step. We could count by hand. It just takes a little longer. We'd have a more accurate system, and we'd have something we could verify. But it's also weird how all the mistakes with the voting machines tend to go towards Republicans. Strange, isn't it? If it were actually random, it'd be roughly 50-50. Never been 50-50. It's always the only stories you see are Republicans. I did see one story of a lady who organized some voter fraud stuff within her community. I didn't get the numbers, but it was small potatoes. It was under 50, potentially. I mean, it was like applications for whatever, and she was against the Republicans. So to be fair, there was that case. But on the Republican side, it's millions of people having their rights completely removed from them without them being notified in the form of all those ways I spoke about. So it's not the same at all. But I don't want to suggest that everything on the Democratic side is 100% pure, but they aren't equal. It's not both sides at all. And so the Democrats' first priority should be to expand rights to everybody. Change the date of the elections. Move it to the weekend. Make it 2 days. Or make Tuesday a national holiday. Maybe we get rid of fucking, I don't know. What's the worst one? Christmas. Just joking. Christmas is great. Everybody loves Christmas. Christmas is such a good holiday. Even non-Christians are all about Christmas. You know why? Trees smell nice. I think every holiday should have a tree inside. Those strings of lights and some trees. Come on. Valentine's. I mean, it takes me forever to build a heart big enough out of chocolate. Okay, what am I doing? So Georgia is a major I guess, bellwether for where the country's headed. Stacey Abrams will be the first black female governor in the country, which is awesome. It's a great milestone. As everything in America, it's way too late, but let's do it. Now's a good time. It didn't happen in the past. Let's make it happen tomorrow. So hopefully those two, Florida, Andrew Gillum's black as well. I mean, just more diversity and more representation in our communities, in our halls of power, are a good thing. We'll get better outcomes from that overall, and that's why it should be the number one issue for Democrats, because it'll cement their power. It'll make it more likely for them to win elections in the future. And you might say, I don't think you or my reasonable, intelligent, enormously genitaled listeners aren't saying that, but some, here's a straw man, but I know it's a thing that, that's just the Democrats playing politics with how they set up. No. The point is so that everybody, not just Democrats, not just liberals, not just progressives, or socialists, not just them. We're not limiting it. We want conservatives. We want extreme right-wingers. We want all of you libertarians and everybody. You get to vote. You get to show up and vote. Because we know we outnumber you. Why am I speaking as if it's like we and you? But that's why it's scary to them, because they know there's more people who want reasonable, sane, effective government. I imagine not very many people want what I want. Although I would suggest that if we had better education, better critical thinking skills, and it's something that people could be persuaded into. I think you can persuade people into breathable air, free at point of use health care, and not having to work 5 days a week for good money so that you can go on vacation 4 to 6 times a year. We could do that. We just got to make sure those billionaires can only afford a quarter of an island. Wouldn't that be nice? Hey, Jeff Bezos, sorry, a poor person's on the beach too, you motherfucker. Life's good. You're doing well in life when you're upset about the poor people on your beach. Hey, put some Alka-Seltzer in a hot dog and go get out there and explode their stomachs. That's seagulls, I know, but maybe it works on people. You never know. Someone should try it. That'd be funny if the only violence you're allowed to advocate for is harmless tum-tums, harmless soothing of the tum-tums. That's what that would do if it kills seagulls, because their stomachs aren't human stomachs. Yeah. Yep, say that in a David Attenborough voice. Their stomachs aren't human stomachs. You can track David Attenborough's career by how much saliva is audible on his lips, as is true of all old people as they stop losing sensory inputs. So, big time stuff going on. I'm jumping all over the place. Every state is having elections. All 435 of the House of Representatives are up for re-election. Hopefully the Democrats take over. Hopefully the Democrats get the Senate. 1/3 of the Senate's up right now. Man, this is a big deal. And I'm really... Oh, so I was saying, too, earlier, and I am going to play the music, I promised. With the violent... I mean, it's been horrible. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually really terrible. I was going to say... I guess... there's been a horrible string of right-wing terrorism in America for the last 2 weeks. Had any of those attacks, the bomber who went after, 12 or something Democratic high-profile people on the left, and a couple media organizations, CNN, maybe, I don't know if any other media played, but I think they might have received 2. One was addressed to John Brennan at CNN or something, which was wrong because this guy doesn't live at CNN. I mean, everybody knows Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell all share like a triple bunk bed. And by the way, Lawrence O'Donnell, he's on the top. Guy's that nimble. He's pretty good. Yeah, you wouldn't expect it, but it's amazing what blonde hair will do for a grown adult man. Get the fuck out of here with your blonde hair, you fucking adult men. Blonde hair is for teens and children, males. Once you reach your 20s, you got to go 30 blonde at most. Okay? And, dude tried to murder Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama. I mean, that's a massive thing. We talked about that last time. And then there was the shootings at the synagogue, which killed 11 people, including a Holocaust survivor. That week, there was a racially motivated attack on two people. Two victims were killed outside a grocery store after a guy failed to get into a church. And that's the whites don't kill whites guy who let another white witness or somebody nearby, bystander, I guess, go because he was white. And then this week was something I wasn't really tuned into, but I still watch it. I'm just consuming news more like a regular person now than before, where I was just like kind of watching Twitter the entire time, hoping that wasn't the day I had an anxiety-related heart attack. So maybe this is a good thing for me to pull back a little too. But the incel I referenced earlier, this dude went into a yoga studio and killed a woman and two women, a young one and an older one, and just because that was, it wasn't just some rando. He had, I mean, not that some rando is okay for these kinds of attacks, but it was politically motivated. He'd been ginned up by his affiliations and his participations in those communities, and that's scary. So it's coming at us from all sides, and or from lots of different angles to this angle monster that we're dealing with. And I expect we'll see more, and who knows what tomorrow will bring. Elections are scary days, especially this time. I was the thing I was going to say, why I was kind of waffling about this actually is bad, is I was going to say, and I kind of can make this case, it could have been way worse. And I don't mean like those other things, but like I wouldn't have been shocked if there hadn't been some kind of official, and by official I mean secret, sort of like Gulf of Tonkin incident or some sort of ginned up thing that the Republicans tried to do. So that didn't happen, or at least maybe the caravan is that, and because it's bullshit. It's not a threat at all. If anything, we should welcome these people. If you're willing to walk across Mexico with your kid with a duffel bag and get to a country, you're probably willing to work 40 hours a week for a fair wage and be a decent person and raise your kids to die of diabetes like the rest of us, like true Americans. So anyway, I don't know. I guess that's just me assuming the worst, but let's not give them the benefit of the worst here, where I go, well, they didn't do as bad as my imagination could have come up with, so therefore, they're still horrible, still really scary, really bad stuff going on. I guess I don't know, and maybe that's the stochastic nature of the violence that's occurring. And Trump is ginning it up, man. I was Young Turks today. I actually edited half the show today, but I do it in editor brain, so I'm not really ingesting the information the same as when I'm doing a guy with a super popular podcast brain that the celebs can't stop talking about. So I don't know what he said, but Jake was very pissed about about Trump suggesting more violence, suggesting more things keep happening with his bullshit about the media and other things like that. So tomorrow's going to be weird, and the weeks after are going to be really weird. It's or not. I mean, what does weird mean? Weird is normal these days. So, I want to get back to. There is no getting back to, but we can dial down the weirdness a lot here. I think a Pence administration would be horrifying and terrible, but I would take it because compared to what we have, because he's predictable and less weird. He's weird. He's very weird. He calls his wife mother. He wants to force people to have fetus funerals, all kinds of insanities like that because he's a Christian Taliban, but he is. I think I heard Dan Savage say this once on the Savage, one of his. He appears on one of those stranger podcasts. I listen to one of them. that he oscillates within a predictable set of beliefs and stances or something. He used the word oscillate, I guess. That's the only quote I'm going to give to Mr. Savage. I like that Dan Savage guy, one of my favorite folks. So Pence I would take it. Less weird. Still weird, but we wouldn't have to deal with fucking sideburn comb over fuck face and his wanting to fuck his own daughter and be the God. So tomorrow's a big day. I know I keep saying that. Let's just wrap this up. We're coming up on an hour. I could easily just lose track of time and ramble. It's after 9 o'clock, and I need to get some food and get to bed so I can get up and be sane and capable tomorrow. Oh yeah, real quick. I don't have really much to say about it because I don't have all the details. But one of the bigger stories last week I missed it was this grifter kid who was like 20-year-old dumbass. I think Wohl, W-O-H-L is his last name or something. He tried to frame Bob Mueller by pretending, or I think it was revealed where one of the women who they tried to pay to lie that he had sexually abused or harassed or some they were trying to go at him from a sexual assault or sexual harassment angle, completely made up. Not like they immediately people pick apart your online presence and all the stuff like bank accounts or like PayPal or something like that, and like there was a website listed that wound up being connected to the guy's mom's cell phone. All shit done in like the last month or two, and then the kid has his press conference, and people are asking like, no, it's unfortunate that so many people acknowledge this whole thing at all. The kid sent or posted a picture of him and a woman with her face blacked out, saying that this was the woman he was connected. The story was about this lady who was saying, but we don't want to reveal her identity. Here's a picture. Look, it's me with her. And then people just did a reverse Google image search. I've never messed around with that reverse image search thing. I don't know why that matters to the story. And it turned out it was a picture of him and his girlfriend, a younger woman. Like the person they were speaking about was supposed to be like in her 40s, and this girl was clearly not. And it was his girlfriend. It wasn't even like, and they're not even guessing. Like yeah, that was his girlfriend. So he puts his girlfriend into this whole mix. How the fuck can I get a girlfriend? Jesus Christ. That makes me think this guy's not well. I mean, even if you're coming with nefarious intentions and you want the right wing to rise up and take over and cage babies and force brown people into lives as second-class citizens who should be grateful that they get to live off the scraps of great whitey. Even if that's your intention, you got to know that the girlfriend move's not going to work. Like, he didn't even Photoshop a picture of a different woman. You can find photos of ladies. Just Google, nursing home nurses or something. There's tons of pictures of women on the internet that were just like they're just adults. I don't even mean adult pictures. I just mean people in clothes. Like he put a picture of him and his girlfriend. And the gall to do this, it's very Trumpian. It's very like, you just lie. What's it matter? You just keep lying. Just lie. I don't think that works for everybody. It doesn't work for everybody. Trump has this weird, he's got decades of established name recognition and branding and all this other kind of underlying psychological infrastructure that makes him very unique. There's definitely characteristics of how he campaigns and how he quote unquote governs that are lessons to those who might share his viewpoints and want to push further along. But that, and as also evidenced by Bolsonaro, who's sort of incredibly upfront with how terrible he is. I saw an interview with Ellen Page, who does some stuff like for Vice. She's an actor, but she also is politically involved with LGBTQ causes and stuff like that. And she was down there asking him about. She asked a question about that, and he even said like, because she said she's a lesbian. She's like, I'm a lesbian, and he said to her, "I would still whistle at you." Like, that was his response. Like, "Oh, don't. It's okay. I would still sexually make you feel uncomfortable." Like, in addition to other insane things. I'm not sure what the fuck I'm trying to say, but the Trump magic isn't just something any dumbass can just plug into. And this guy tried, or he's sick. But Trump, I don't think Trump is well. So maybe that's if you want to try to meet the standard of being unwell, America as it's currently configured is a great place to do that because you can get there. I've been there. I'm probably still there. So yeah, this clown just was sort of a distraction. Nothing happened. Really, you're gonna outmaneuver Bob Mueller or whatever the fuck. You're gonna get him with your mom's cell phone and a picture of your girlfriend and some websites that you made in the last few weeks. So I don't know what if the kid has been arrested. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there'll be some follow-ups to that. There's probably going to be all kinds of insanity. It's just going to be yet another weird blip in this whole crazy-ass story. But, all right, real quick. Netflix, real quick. House of Cards is on Netflix. Season 6, I think. I went to watch it. I like that show. I enjoy it. It's boom, boom. We've got that cool music and the kind of slow panning shots of Washington and good graphics. It really makes you get into the politics of it. Oh, look at these people. And I started watching the recap I'm real sensitive to spoilers. It's one of my things. I hate having shit spoiled. I don't freak about everything. Obviously, that's insane. You can't. But for a few things a year, and this isn't even one of those things, but I try to really go into a movie completely untouched with spoilers. Virgin. I like the less you know, the better. But anyway, so I'm watching the recap. I don't really remember the previous season much. There's so many of these damn things, and none of the recap looks familiar. And I realized I didn't watch the previous season, so I just spoiled the whole fucking previous season. So I turned that off. I missed, like about 3/4 through it by the time I figured out. But good news is I have a brain that has some big holes in it, so those are probably just slipping right out the back. Down the spinal column and into the rectum, and that's how the body is designed. Anyway, the main thing on Netflix that is, speaking of spoilers, is just how they always play previews. If you just mouse over something or scroll, or, mouse wheel up and down, and pause for more than 2 seconds, it's like, if you're not going to watch this in the next 3 fucking seconds, I'm going to show you stuff from the video, you stupid asshole. That's how it feels Netflix is treating us. Netflix, my friends, on Twitter at Netflix. This is to you. @ Netflix. I want you to see this. I want everybody give us the option to turn off autoplay. I don't want to see scenes from different fucking episodes. I don't want to see a book that has sentences from, key sentences from various chapters on the first page. Or the first page would be the book, or the cover, right? No, I don't know. So anyway, I've always been annoyed by that, or at least it's been that way for the last couple of years, and I just don't know why Netflix. Like, I'm here, I'm rummaging through this. It'd be like if it's the equivalent of how some cards make noise. You open them up and they go, "Whoa, happy birthday!" Woo, woo, woo. And then a monkey makes a fart or something, and but it only works when you open it. You choose to have that happen. This is like if you were at the card section browsing and randomly cards just do what's inside them, but just a little bit of them. This is not that great analogy. It's not that good. But anyway, I'm sure you share my frustration. It's obnoxious. Just let's turn it off. I'd rather it wasn't there at all. But okay, fine. You think that should be part of your platform? Put it in there. Make it so that no matter what, you always get weird spoilers from videos. It's also obnoxious. Some people will load up their screen because they're just getting ready to sit down and watch something, and then go into the kitchen and make their organic tray of gluten-free cheese, and then come back. But that's not enough time. I mean, it's too much time. You come back, you'll just be coming back to Spoiler Town. So just let's turn it off, okay, Netflix? We got to dodge around Netflix like it's like its medication doesn't work or something. Like it's like, oh, gotta be careful. Okay, now we're ready to actually get to it and try to hit play before the spoiler thing comes up. All right, good one. All right, nailed it. So I actually now, so then I almost started House of Cards season 5. I'm like, I don't have fucking time for 2 House of Cards seasons. And Trump, the House of fill in the blank. I have been watching Castlevania on Netflix, and if you're not into animation, I'm not. I mean, I do animation, but I don't really pursue like watching. I've watched some anime. I'm not even sure Castlevania qualifies as anime. It could be if you're an anime dork and you know about it, and it is. Go ahead and tell me. I mean, you can be nice about it though. I just don't know. Is that anime? I mean, there's probably strict boundaries for what qualifies as is not. But anyway, Castlevania is awesome. If you're not in animation, give it a go. Give it a try. It's good. It's really well done. The voice acting is pretty powerful. I don't know. It's just I find it very compelling. Yeah. So I recommend it. Castlevania on Netflix. Give it a look. There's 2 seasons. The latest one it's very violent. It's animation violent, but it's like violent. I mean, like they're like, you see a lot of red. A lot of red digital ink. So get into it. All right. It's also a great way to calm down. Just savage monsters fighting each other. It's so much after a long day of politicking and watching politics go down. It's a nice way to just chill. All right, so here's the music I promised. I didn't mean to like try to tease this the whole thing. I just forgot that I had said it earlier, and then I remembered it about 20 minutes ago. I was like, oh fuck, the music part. So the build up here is completely unwarranted because this won't be much of a payoff. But thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And leave reviews on iTunes. Help us reach more people. If you want to take a few minutes to contribute that way, I am gonna be doing some Patreon stuff in the next couple of weeks here, probably. Mostly just activating it and kind of getting that started. But I do want to have exclusive things on there, and this project has taken. I'm happy with the progress I've made. I do feel more confident doing solo stuff, although I still want to eventually get to a point where I don't do this. Or I don't know, maybe not. There might, who knows? I haven't quite gotten to the point where I have enough feedback / experience to just really give it a sense. I value feedback from everybody, so if you want, winners and losers podcast at gmail.com or pornolowyer at gmail.com, and I will get back to you. Although eventually I'd like to get so big that I can't possibly get back to everybody. But no, I will definitely write you back. Slowly. I don't do it. It's not, no offense. Not, but I'll do it. It just, sorry. You're not, okay. I'm about to start insulting people who are nice enough to care enough to send me a message. So anyway, those are the emails. So yeah, these are some, this is some sound I created for the show. And now one of them I think will be a good soundtrack for the world if the Trumpies win, if the Democrats don't get the House back tomorrow, because shit will get real kooky. I do not want to do this for another 2 years where there's just not a single person with authority who is trying to crack open some information and expose some of what's going on with these people. That's supposed to happen. Government is supposed to be. First of all, the government is not supposed to have things that it's keeping in secret. Obviously, there's. I'm not referring to shit like alien abductions. I'm not saying that's a secret at all. I'm not referring to like military secrets or top secret. I'm not saying that, and that's a separate thing. I'm talking about the crimes that the president is actively committing, and the business relationships that he's using the full force of the government and of the power that we've moronically given him to benefit himself, to put money into his pocket. But so it's gonna be a dark time. It's gonna be dark even if the Democrats get it. But at least in that case, we have some hope of exposing these fucking people and persuading those in the middle, the independents, who to vote or to, I do think prediction that independents are swaying are landing heavily on the Democratic side. I can't imagine that they were like, okay, we'll see how he does, and then they do, and he's doing this, and like a substantial majority of them are like, oh, that's what I was hoping for. This is crazy. I'm sure some of them might. It's not nothing's 100%, but anyway, bad times if Democrats don't get the House. Let's just say this: bad times if they get the House, horrible times if they don't. But if they don't, we're gonna end up with some shit like this going down. Remember, I wrote this, by the way. I just want you to Yep, that's it. I told you it wasn't worth it at all. It's just a boom, boom. I just was tapping on a thing. GarageBand is amazing, man. I need to get an iPad. It's hard to do on a phone, but yep. What? Where'd it go? Oh, god damn it! Fucking VLC. Jesus, play it. Where's auto repeat? Wasn't it? Okay, whatever. All right. Oh, there it goes. All right. Yeah. So that's if Trump wins. I can't believe I'm putting this out on the world. This is. But if the Democrats win, we're going to be this. Ooh. Fresh quinoa. Good day to you. Your dog has a middle name? I do too. I'm trying to do lines from like A Nice World where people are kind to each other. Sure, I'll help you open that mailbox. Like anybody struggles with that. So anyway, that also is from GarageBand. I wrote that, but it's because I picked like these auto preview like you can actually compose music that like that on GarageBand yourself, but you'd have to really know what the fuck you're doing to do that way, and I certainly couldn't. Anyway,
that refers to flatulence.
That was a little bit of a little old humor from the past, from our deep and terrible past. But all right, well, it's an hour 12 or something here, so I'm not going to edit this today. I'm going to edit this in the morning because it's fucking 9:30, and so anyway, thank you for listening. Thanks for being on board. I can't believe you're coming along for this ride, whoever you are, and I hope you're enjoying it. A lot of mixed feelings going on in the old Hank brain these days regarding this show. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the right path, even though earlier I was saying kind of was, and a lot of times I feel like it's a horrible, weird, crazy mistake that's just yet another one of the many embarrassing, scrawlings I've left on the internet. But fuck it. You know what? It's too late to turn back. Might as well just have fun with it, right? We could do it. We got it. We got more to come. It's going to be a good time. Eventually going to be some videos and shit, and working on some good stuff coming up. And so, yeah, all good stuff. Thanks for listening. Winner Loser Show on Twitter. Get rid of the S's for that one to just get kind of a show feed. I'm just sort of using that to just get announcements out. And Hank_Thompson on Twitter as well. Tweets have been kind of slow lately, and probably will be for the next little while. But we'll get it'll all come back. It'll thing is, yeah. So, all right. In closing, we'll leave with the words of the great American hero, Captain Sully Sullenberger. You might recall as the mustachioed man of competence and cool-headedness who landed a plane in the Hudson River. I don't know what year was that, 2015 or so? Anyway, real top-notch fella. Handled his shit great. Plane, something was fucked up. It got up there. It was all ready to kill everybody, and he did a water landing like you're supposed to. Kept his cool, saved everybody's life, and earned himself a rightful place amongst history's respected mustaches. So good for this Captain Sully. I want to leave you with some words of his that he tweeted, or that he's at least quoted here. For the first 85% of my adult life, I was a registered Republican, but I've always voted as an American. And this critical election day, I will do so by voting for leaders committed to rebuilding our common values and not pandering to our basest impulses. So it sounds a lot better like this. So it sounds better like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I've turned off the smoking sign, so you all have to put out your cigarettes. If you look out the right, you'll see the America, which is a wasteland of Republican and neoliberal and democratic policies that have left its citizens unaware and unequipped even to detect their own oppression. So for the first 85% of my adult life, I was a registered Republican, and those things, they never work. All right, so there he is, Captain Sully Sullenberger. Good dude. He's probably like a fucking killer or something, and I'm just like spreading his propaganda. No, I don't think he is. Obviously, I don't. But you know how like all of a sudden you're gonna hear like, you're supporting Captain Sully, didn't you know he was? No, I didn't. I don't know. He just landed a plane. Good for him. Hope he's teaching the younger generations on plane landings because he's practiced. He's done it. Okay. What the fuck am I talking? Goodbye, everybody. Peace out. See you later. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.